Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the channel, and in today's video I want to talk about the new update for Wizard101 that's going to be coming out towards the fall and winter time this year. Now, we have known for quite some time towards the start of the year that we are actually not getting a level 180, we're going to be staying at level 170, and we're also not going to be getting a new main world. As you may or may not know, Waterloo was the conclusion to the 4th arc, I want to say it was. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't read any Wiz lore, quite frankly, even though I have 7 max characters. The designers on the KI Live are essentially saying the update is going to be pretty big, even though it's not actually a mainline form of content. And they also say that this is going to be mandatory to complete, so when level 180 comes around next year or whenever, you're gonna have to beat this. And I'll talk about my opinions a bit later on in the video, but I do want to say I am a little bit relieved because I was a bit worried that the fall winter update of this year would be kind of lackluster since we're not getting a whole new world or a level cap increase. Anyways, here's the clip, y'all.
What is the next world and what is the level cap increase?
Oh.
So the next world, we are this year in what is called, I guess the writers call it an off year, which basically just means that they're not pushing forward the main arc story. That does not mean we're not going to have any content this winter. In fact, we have a ton of content, and by some measurements, if you were to measure by I think recorded lines, this update might be bigger than Wallaroo. It's big, so there's a lot of content coming. I won't tell you where it is or what it's about. And there won't be a level cap increase in this winter. So the level cap increase will be 1 year hence, not this year. It is mainline in the sense that you'll need to continue in the quest this winter. It is mainline, but so you won't want to miss it. In fact, you can't miss it. You'll need to complete it. So it's not an optional. It's not optional content in the way that it has been before. So if you look back at like Catacombs, which I think was 4 years ago, Catacombs was really sort of more optional endgame content on that off year, and this is not optional. You'll need to complete it. So.
And on that, just so we are accounting for that in gauging the difficulty. It's not going to be like super difficult content like off-world stuff has been previously, and then also mainline. We're accounting for the fact that it will be mainline when thinking about how difficult the world is going to be.
So there's the clip from the devs. Now, a lot of things stood out to me in these clips over on Twitter from @Plex is where I got them, so shout out to them. But some things that jumped out to me right away is the fact that they are treating this like it's a mainline thing. It's not optional, unlike Catacombs, which is basically the closest thing we got to this next update, which happened all the way back like 4 or 5 years ago now. The Catacombs update was completely optional, y'all, and you did not have to do anything, but at the same time there was a little bit of lore there, and the gear was like meta for PvP and PvE. Another concern I have is if it's gonna be mainline content, I'm a little worried about the Nightmare, because the Nightmare was actually mainline content as well, but a lot of people are struggling with that, right? So I feel like this new Catacombs fall winter update, whatever you want to call it, Catacombs 2.0, if you will. Catacombs in the first place was just really annoying to beat, and honestly I only beat it on 1 character and I hated my life doing that. So I'm hoping that the difficulty is not all the way up there in terms of like Catacombs and Nightmare, because that was really annoying. Now, judge off of what Rapbeard said in the clips here, I think this is probably going to be like 3 times the size of the Catacombs, at least, if I had to guess. Because think about what he said, right? It's essentially the same size of Wallaroo, if not bigger in some ways, and the Catacombs has nothing on what Wallaroo is now. So I am a little intrigued, but I'm also a little concerned about the, gear acquisition and pity system. Kingsale has shown time and time again they are, having a tough time at making a good pity system that rewards the player's time to the reward ratio. To this day, that is still one of the bigger issues in the game. They are getting better at it. Like, I'll give credit where it's due. Like the new gold key bosses where you can buy and craft stuff at Lambent and Takanobu. that's great. I enjoyed, you know, farming that stuff and making that stuff. That was very reasonable. I liked that. Something the player base and the community doesn't like, though, is something like Novus, you know, part 1 in terms of farming. That farming was horrible. Now, keep in mind, guys, I had to do this for 7 different characters for PvP and for PvE. So I basically had to do Novus farming 14 times. Okay, so I might be a bit biased and a bit bitter towards it and stuff, but stuff like that, I think, you know, it's just really unreasonable the amount of time you have to put into things. And even though I love Novus, like, honestly, it's one of my favorite worlds, like, you know, hand over heart, great world. The pity system really killed it for me. On a positive note, KingSaw has had a pretty good track record as of the last couple updates, making good and reasonable pity systems. You can look at the recent raid update, right? That stuff is not too bad to get anymore. You can look at Lambent and Takanobo, so on and so forth. So my point is, I do have faith in them to get it right this time around. And Wallaroo, which is the recent one, actually has a pretty good system. I don't think they've had to change the pity system in Wallaroo at all. Matter of fact, when Wallaroo came out, the entire community was basically praising KingSaw for, you know, having such a great system. And there's so many different things to get. Like, you can literally craft, like, you know, pierce jewels, damage jewels, you know, your standard PvE, PvP gear, and whatnot. It's really good. Another thing I'm a little concerned about is going to be, again, drawing comparisons back to the Catacombs, because the Catacombs, I had to do that for 7 different wizards, which obviously it took a very, very long time. But something I didn't like about the Catacombs is the amount of grind, again, like the player to reward ratio, but also you just farmed the same boss over and over. Like, that was the meta, you know, tactic to reliably craft the piece of gear you wanted. And that was really annoying and not fun. But nowadays we have stuff like, oh, you go here for this, you go there for your hat, you go here for your amulet, right? And I like that system more personally. So what I'm really hoping for is they can make a bunch of, you know, unique, you know, diverse fights in the new update, and not just have it, you know, be watered down, do the same boss literally like 3,000 times. Because as much as I prefer the more like brain dead PvE experience, so like, you know, Aura AoE, Blade AoE and stuff like that, it still is nice to get a change of scenery and, you know, go from one fight to the other to actually feel like I'm making progress. And something positive I want to comment on in the Catacombs is actually maybe something a little strange, but basically some of the side fights in there would drop cool and unique wands. So a lot of them were like the Dragonspire wands that are now sunsetted and retired, like the Avalanche Blade, the Blade of the Homunculus or something, stuff like that. So I liked that a lot, and honestly recently I actually had to go back to the Catacombs to farm that for a Stitch. So I really liked that, because I haven't had a reason to ever go back to the Catacombs or even look in that direction until I had to go back and, you know, go there for a Stitch. But overall, I'm pretty hopeful for the update, y'all. I want to say I think KingSaw has been on a good streak recently, so hopefully they can keep this momentum going forward. I think if I had to say the 3 big things I want to see in this update the most is going to be, honestly, a lot of like quality of life, you know, update, bug fixes, and make things more accessible. But also, I want to see stuff like, you know, the player to reward pity whatever ratio actually be good. And I'm honestly not really sure how they can make any gear better than what we already have in the game. But I think just making gear to, you know, maybe go for or stuff like that is going to be really important. And the reason I'm a little concerned and not so, you know, hopeful about this one is because the recent raid they put out, they actually could not cook up another template. They just simply copied and pasted an old template, unfortunately. So I'm a little concerned that history might repeat itself here, and they might put out like a big new update, like a raid or whatever this new winter fall update is, but there's no desire to go there and do things, right? Because nothing is good from it. Lastly, I'm hoping these cool cosmetics, so like stuff from pets to, you know, mounts, stuff like that, wands, stitch gear, all that good stuff. And hey man, if KingSaw can throw something good in for quality of life, like mount stitching in this update, and just a lot of the small quality of life things that players have been asking for over the years. I think this could be a really, really good update for Wizard101. But yeah, that's everything I got for y'all today. Let me know your thoughts and feedback down there in the comments below. What do you think the next update's gonna be about or around? What do you want to see in the next update as well? If you guys enjoyed this video or found it useful at all, consider leaving a like and a sub. I do post every day, if not every other day, and I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and take care.